In 3, 2, 1. What's poppin', fight fans? It is Thursday, October 8th. I almost said Tuesday, but it is Thursday. Once again, who knows what day it is, but we're slowing down. We're here. Nick's in the house. It's the Mystic Hour Live. Welcome, guys. Thank you for joining us again. We have so much to get to, so much to talk about. But off the top, we have to get with it. I know Nick is not your favorite subject. I know you represent him there with the hat, but we got to bring it up. The NBA Finals. We're still here.
This all day if we want to.
The Lakers did not sweep the Miami Heat as everybody thought they would. Miami Heat actually ended up winning Game 3 in a very good competitive game. A lot of things were said on each side about officiating. Anthony Davis had a bad game. The Heat played it smart in that Game 3. They took Anthony Davis out of the game early with some foul trouble. Then we had Game 4 the other day. We'll get into that, but let's start with that Game 3, Nick. How did you feel that he performed in that game, and what did they do differently than the two games previously before, and being down with two players, with Adebayo and Dragic out?
Well, I think it just shows the drive of this team, and it's sort of that next man up mentality, which they pride themselves on. And I'm actually very proud of that mentality as well, that they're carrying it out, because you lose not only – I know a lot of people probably think Goran Dragic is not as important as he really is, but he was actually the leading scorer for us this entire postseason. So when you lose your top scorer and not only on top of that, you lose another one of your players that's part of your top three players, you just got to have to, like I said, somebody's going to have to step up. Jimmy stepped up obviously on his own with his triple-double performance, but, you got other guys like Maple Dick Olenek stepping up. You got Jay Crowder, Tyler Hero, which is incredible that this guy has the confidence. I wish I had an ounce of the confidence that Tyler Hero has. It's just, if these guys show up, I think the Heat, I know everybody's pretty much writing it off already as a gentleman's sweep. Apparently people don't have the Kobe mindset that, it's still not done. Like even a game away, obviously it's more probable. It's easier for the Lakers to win this, given that they only have to win one more time to really seal it. But if you really are a champion and you have a champion mindset and that Kobe mindset, you know that the job's not done. And I think that the Heat have that mindset as well. So I think that even going down 3-1 and this game coming up tomorrow, I think that they're going to understand now that their backs are against the wall, and that's when they've performed their best this season. They've also performed their best when everybody has doubted them. So it's funny because I get these ESPN notifications that are like, who will win Game 5? Also, who wins NBA Finals MVP, LeBron or Davis? I'm like, well, what the hell, man? Like, we haven't – I know that probability is not in our favor, but mathematically we're still not out. So until that that's what I love about the mathematics. The mathematics, like there's no gray area. It's black or white. It's first to who wins 4 games, and yeah, it's probably impossible for a team to come back 3-1, but it's not impossible. We saw LeBron did that with the Cavs against the Warriors. I think that was 2 years ago, right? No, 3 years ago. Jesus,
3 years ago.
Time's flying.
I know, right?
So nothing's impossible, and stranger things have happened. So obviously, I'm still rooting for the Heat. If the Lakers win, I can't knock them for winning. You have obviously LeBron James doing it year 17. He hasn't slowed down. I guess you could say he's having a Holm type of performance. Not slowing down at all. I think, and then obviously Anthony Davis having a supplement like that helps tremendously. That being said, they still gotta close out, and it's still up there until they win that final game or that fourth game. I'm still going to be rooting for the Miami Heat, and even if we don't win, the fact that we're here and we weren't even supposed to be here, at least according to a lot of people, and also I like the recognition that Jimmy Butler's finally getting, because I remember when he made the decision to come here to Miami, everybody's like, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you stay with the Sixers?
Hold that thought. We're going to get to Jimmy Butler. But before we go there, LeBron's legacy. I feel like that is probably the most important thing that we're watching right now in this era of basketball that we are currently viewing. Everybody keeps asking. He's been to 10 finals, only won 3. How many people could say they've been to 10 finals? There's only 3 other people. I think it was like Elgin Baylor, Bill Russell, and one other person. Not that many people. Yeah. And with LeBron, compared to the competition that he's had, it's unbelievable. And it's a lot of people forget. you have to do a lot of things before you get to the NBA Finals. The teams you have to beat. He's never been through any easy series he's swept some people before, but that shows you how easy he makes the game. He's averaging 28 points, 11 assists, and 9 rebounds, and people saying he's having a boo-boo performance. He is not having a boo-boo performance. That's how high he sets the bar. Literally, that's how high he sets the bar, to where they expect LeBron James to dominate with a 45, 12, and 18 like he did when he was with Kyrie. But no, he's got other players on the team as well. Just like Alex Caruso said the other day, the second best player on the team is the person who's going to make the shot next. That's it. We're not going to just say, we're not going to just LeBron has to do everything for the team. No, he doesn't have to do everything for the team. He is one of the first players who, at his caliber, is big on passing the ball. Michael Jordan wasn't like that. God rest Kobe Bryant's soul. It wasn't Kobe Bryant either. These guys weren't about pass the ball. LeBron James is. He's a team basketball player. So it's a different kind of basketball player that we are watching. So I feel that this NBA Finals is just very, very huge for LeBron's legacy. If he wins it, if they take it, I know they're going to say, they were in the bubble. No, the bubble is pure basketball. That's even better that he did it with no crowds and just like straight up basketball. So I think this is a big credit to him, to the players that's on his team. They're not going to talk about KCP in 10 years. And I don't know if they're going to talk about Alex Caruso in 10 years, but they're going to talk about LeBron at the end of the day, as selfish as that sounds. But he still makes those players better. And I always feel that about him, and for him going to teams, especially when they talk about Giannis Antetokounmpo, he doesn't make the other guys better. You put LeBron on any team, a lot of those guys are going to be better. When he was on the Heat, what did you hear about Mario Chalmers before he was on the Heat? Not that much. You put LeBron on that team, and Mario Chalmers' confidence went up, skyrocketed, and other players on that Miami Heat team as well. So I feel like LeBron's legacy is a very important part in this NBA Finals. But I'm going to let you talk about your boy, Tyler Hero, because I feel like that's another very big story in this NBA Finals. As much as he had one bad game, I think, in the finals, but the confidence on that kid is unbelievable.
Well, before I get to Tyler, I just wanted to add to LeBron's legacy. I mean, Demar Derozan, he actually commented on the fact that, a lot of people, I suppose, discredited LeBron because for the majority of his career, he's been on the East. And now he came out West. Obviously, last year he was injured. So they didn't make the playoffs, but he's basically saying it just solidifies that it doesn't matter what conference he's in, he's going to be the most dominant player. And it's probably because of the biggest asset that he brings to a team is what you mentioned. He makes those around him better because of not so much just his skill set, but his mindset, his intelligence of the game, and how he gets everybody involved. And that's really, when I think of what's MVP caliber or what's the highest characteristic for MVP caliber players, I think it's whoever improves the team altogether. It's not necessarily like James Harden that, of course you score a lot of points, but how far do you bring your team? How much better do you make your teammates? So, I think it's pretty safe to say that every year LeBron's pretty much the MVP. Obviously, marketing-wise, that's not going to go, which is probably the reason why he hasn't won in a couple of years. But that's his greatest asset. And like DeMar DeRozan said, it doesn't matter which conference. As far as Tyler Hero, I can't fathom how this guy who, if they win, let's say that they end up coming back and winning the finals. How crazy is it that he's not going to be able to drink champagne? They're probably going to have to keep him out of the locker room and everything because this guy's only 20 years old. He's not going to be 21 until January, which is nuts. It's kind of like
I was drinking in Miami at age 18. He'll be fine.
Yeah. But technically, legally, he's not supposed to. But I'm sure he's going to, and I'm sure that he's not going to have any trouble getting into live, whenever that reopens. But it's just incredible the amount of confidence this guy has, and I think that the future is really bright in Miami. And I know that there's going to be a lot of players, win or lose these finals. There's going to be a lot of free agents, a lot of players around the league that are going to be thinking, get me to Miami, because on top of just this chemistry that the team has, this culture, which, we sell ourselves very high on, and it's a very real thing. The youth that we have between Tyler and Kendrick and Bam Adebayo and even Duncan Robinson, the youth is there. And the fact that we didn't have to trade for those pieces, that we got them, from whether they were undrafted, or we got them through, or we did get them through the draft, like Bam and Tyler. Tyler's just, I feel like this could definitely be a franchise player going into the future. And I know that there's going to be a lot of teams who are looking to offload. They're going to want to perhaps I mean, we talk about perhaps the biggest weakness for Miami, obviously, besides the injuries in this finals, is not having necessarily a big guy, a big man, right? So, I mean, who knows? Like with everything that's going on in Philly and just the dumpster fire that is, who knows if like they're gonna want to ship Embiid somewhere? Obviously, a player of that caliber, they're gonna probably think that they can try to get Tyler Hero out of it. I don't think that they should make that move. Tyler Hero seems like the real deal. Obviously, we didn't trade him when Houston wanted him or not Houston, when Oklahoma City wanted him for Westbrook. This guy is definitely a player that you can build your franchise around.
I agree with that. But you know what I don't agree with? As much as you guys love Pat Riley, I just don't trust him. I feel like somebody's going to offer him some kind of package, and he's going to ship Tyler Hero to another team, and Tyler Hero might go be a superstar elsewhere. But that's just my opinion. I don't know. I'm not the biggest.
Well, yeah, because Pat is a win now kind of guy. And the thing is, the question is, like, who are you getting, though? You know, like I've even heard people say, like, Bradley Beal for Tyler Hero. And I'm just like, well, I mean, Bradley Beal, how much better is he going to get? Yeah, he's a phenomenal player. But where has he taken Washington in his career?
Exactly. Nowhere. But at the same time, Tyler Hero hasn't done anything yet. So Pat Riley's a guy,
right.
I know he's hot. I'm going to ship him off before he gets hot. Go be hotter somewhere else. But I want this big-time player right now.
I was hoping that was going to be his mindset with Kendrick Nunn in the trade deadline back in February. That's because I would have done it. No offense to Kendrick Nunn. I don't think that necessarily that this is it for him, that he's not going to continue progressing. But he was so hot back then. And I honestly was surprised to say, like, wow, like, I'm surprised that Pat kept him because he actually had a demand. But with Tyler Hero, like, it's just like I said, his confidence, the way that he oozes it, it's kind of like it would have to be somebody special to really get rid of him, or a special package of players.
I think so too, but I don't know. I just don't trust Pat Riley in this and how he is with his players. But at the same time, if he does any of that, and depending on how this offseason goes, which won't be that long, does Jimmy Butler stay for the long run, or do you think Jimmy Butler is going to do the stay for 2-3 years, sees what happens, and just go somewhere else? You know, takes that option, because that's a new thing with the NBA players now. They're locking into a contract for 2 years, 2 or 3 years, and then they have that option to be a free agent. You think Jimmy Butler stays in for the long run? He loves the culture. This is his fit. This is the kind of team that he wants to be in, because he said that before on some other teams, and just like, you know what? I like this. Who's to say he's going to do the same thing with the Miami Heat? What's the difference between here and another team?
Well, I think the difference is that he's actually found a home here in Miami. You know, as far as actually when we talk about culture, you know, it's not just a marketing ad. There actually is a culture here, and that's what the fact that they didn't even necessarily have to meet with Jimmy Butler before he came here. Dwayne Wade, when they played the 1 year together in Chicago, sold Spoelstra and Riley on Jimmy, that he has what it takes, because you can't just be anybody and play for Miami. You know, like we've seen that happen with Dion Waiters, we've seen that happen with Hassan Whiteside. We've seen that happen with a lot of players that think that they have that mindset, that maturity, that discipline that it takes to be part of this team. And obviously, if you don't fit, they'll ship you out in a heartbeat for a bag of chips if they wanted to. But Jimmy Butler, like he buys into this mindset, and you can see that. And I think what works with this team is that he actually has youth. He actually has youth that has the same mindset as him, that has the same urgency as him. Whereas I don't think he had that. He was in Chicago for a long time, and it just wasn't working out. When they shipped him to Minnesota, you had guys like Wiggins and Cat who apparently didn't buy into that mindset, who didn't have that maturity. And then in Philadelphia, for whatever reason, that talent that they have, that talent pool that they have there, they couldn't get through this whole trust the process, but nobody's buying into the process. And like I said, this first year, people said that like maybe he'll get into the finals 2 or 3 years or 2 or 3 seasons from now, right? And here he is in his first season with the Miami Heat in the finals. Granted, I know it's been a different year, but like you mentioned, this whole bubble aspect has actually been a pure basketball aspect. You don't have to worry about home crowds or away crowds or anything like that. This is simply who's better at playing basketball. And he's shown that I can be a good leader. I can be the leader of a team. I can take a team far into the season. So I think that he's definitely found his home. And he's just a dog, man. Like him and Pat Riley and just this organization, it's win. That's the most important thing.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree with that in a sense, but he's a little bit older of a player. He's 31 years old. I highly doubt he wants to keep skipping through teams, but he's a guy, he wants to win. And if he doesn't win in a certain amount of time, he's out. He's proven that in his career. Literally, every team he's been to that he's got traded to, he doesn't feel comfortable at a certain point. If Pat Riley doesn't make those moves to give him one more person, and they can't make it to the finals next year again, or at least the Eastern Conference Finals in that division, I see Jimmy Butler leaving within 2 or 3 years for sure, going somewhere else. Maybe even joining a 38-year-old LeBron James somewhere, because Lord knows he'll still be monster no matter what team he's on. So I give Jimmy Butler 3-year limit. If he doesn't win a ring or something like that, he'll be somewhere else 100%, because that's how he's just been in his career. He wants to win. He does not like being on a team where he doesn't make the playoffs, where he doesn't get far. He'll go somewhere else. But I do agree with you when you say he's found a home here. He seems very comfortable. He loves the players that he's with. He loves his coach. He gets to do what he wants in that fourth quarter and have the ball in his hands, or even trust somebody else with the ball as well. They just need that one more. I think they just need one more piece. Not any superstar. No Giannis. Everybody talks about Giannis. I don't want to see Giannis on the Miami Heat. Give him a Middleton. Give him that second or third tier kind of player that's going to give you. I would love a Middleton here. Come on, he would stretch the floor beautifully, and that perimeter is.
I guess so.
Those shots are going to be perfect. Middleton just has to work on his assisting, but they're fine on that end. But we had some really good fights this past weekend. NBA Finals is on Friday, by the way, guys. That's tomorrow. Game 5. Game 5, right?
Yeah, Game 5.
Game 5 on ABC. I don't know why I'm promoting it like they're paying me, but you guys watch that. That's tomorrow. But this past weekend, we had some really good fights. I know this card wasn't looked at in a huge way because the main event was Holly Holm and Irene Aldana, and not too many people know Irene Aldana. Of course, everybody knows Holly Holm as the woman who knocked out Ronda Rousey in Australia with the leg kick, with the head kick with her leg. She had a neck kick, right? She had the best performance she's ever had since she's fought Ronda Rousey, in my opinion. I know she knocked out Bethe Correia, but this performance against a very tough Mexican and Irene Aldana, my God, Holly Holm, she was moving forward. She had her footwork down completely. She put her game together. She was putting Irene Aldana on her back and taking her down and dominating her there. Who would have thought that Holly Holm would be taking people down at this stage of her career? She's 38 years old. Usually, if you're going to learn those things, you learn them earlier in your career. She's getting these things down later. So there's no, what are we going to call this, mother time? There's no mother time for Holly Holm. Copyright that. No mother time for Holly Holm right now, because she looks like she's getting better. And I take back what I said last week. I said the Jackson camp, it's just making these fighters stay stagnant. They're not improving. Holly Holm is taking all this information that she's been gathering, and you kind of seen her use that takedown when she fought Megan Anderson, but she didn't really move or advance her position. She was timing her takedowns perfectly. She was making Aldana miss. She was moving forward. Aldana is such a great boxer, and I'm very confused to what game planning her corner had. But how do you feel about Holly Holm's performance? And we'll get into Irene Aldana's performance after.
I think it was fantastic. And I know last week when we spoke about it, I thought that I didn't necessarily think that Holly Holm was going to lose, but I thought that the strategy was going to be different. I thought that she was going to try to do like what she did with Pennington. She's going to try to just control the time of the fight. And she didn't do that. She was vicious from the beginning to the end. And she kept coming forward. She showed that, age is just a number. I mean, this is another thing that I mentioned last week too, is that there are not many fitter fighters than Holly Holm. I mean, given her age, every fight that she goes into, she comes in incredibly fit, especially for her age. And I think that does justice to her commitment to this game and her discipline. And I think she was hearing a lot of people doubting her, a lot of people thinking that, this is just, sort of a filler to get people to tune in this weekend because she's the one that beat Rousey. No, it's not about that. She wants to continue writing, like she said in Ariel Helwani's show. She wants to continue being the author of her own book. And she proved, she set out to prove that this weekend, and she absolutely did with her dominant performance and showing absolutely no fear, by the way, because at no point did she sit back and try to figure out Aldana. No, she was
trying to finish her in the fifth round. In the fifth round, she still was trying to finish her.
In the dying seconds, she had, I think, a combination there that nearly knocked her out.
And she went for it. And a lot of fighters like to coast in that fifth round. And even Holly Holm has been guilty of coasting in the fifth round because she's tired and just wants to counter strike. That's when she lost to Miesha Tate. She was trying to coast and run around, and Miesha Tate literally ran after her, got on the ground and submitted her. But Holly Holm was pushing forward. And I feel the UFC was trying to give another contender for Amanda Nunes and Irene Aldana. And unfortunately, that didn't happen.
Nope.
Irene Aldana did not live up to the hype that they surrounded with her. And after she beat Caitlin Vieira and knocks her out, I even thought that Aldana had a chance of knocking out Holly Holm at some point because Holly Holm just looked so different in her fights before. But I just think that they came with a bad game plan. I felt that they thought they can just push forward on Holly Holm, but Holly Holm was the one pushing forward. So it kind of surprised them. And Aldana is not a counter striker. She's a move forward kind of a striker, and you're backing up and she'll catch you. She couldn't do that here. Holly Holm was moving around in that cage, and I just don't understand why Aldana, you can hear the corner talking too, why Aldana's camp is not telling her, cut that cage off. Stop letting her move around. Literally, just cut the cage off. But I felt like her confidence just like dimmed so much as Holly Holm just kept dominating her after every round and counter-striking her and putting her on her feet throughout the whole entire time and making her be aware that, hey, I can take you down too. She wasn't ready for that. She definitely thought she was going to have a stand-up war the whole entire 5 rounds or maybe 3 rounds or whenever she could be able to finish her. And now she had a different thought in her mind, just like, damn, if I throw this punch, Holly Holm might take me down. And she wasn't prepared for that, I don't feel.
No, 100%. It's exactly what you said. She completely underestimated Holly Holm just as the fighter and Holly Holm's game plan. I'm sure nobody expected, especially her, for her to be coming out as she did, and she just completely underestimated it, and she looks a bit foolish for that now because she got beaten royally by Holly Holm, and I think that's a mistake that a lot of fighters make. A lot of fighters, instead of focusing on their own game, sometimes they focus too much on the other fighter's game. And in this case, I don't think she was focused on her game as much as, like, oh, she's going to be. I think she incorrectly assumed how Holly Holm was going to come out. And then once you saw in the first round that Holly Holm didn't hold back, she was just caught off guard. She was caught off guard, and I guess it shook her for the rest of the fight. She didn't even know where to go, what to do, and there was just no solution. With every round that passed by, she couldn't find it.
And we just got a question on YouTube. What's next for Holly Holm, which was going to be what I was going to bring up. Next fight for Holly Holm is the woman that beat Juliana Pena by submission. Who would have thought? Jermaine Durandamy, which we were going to talk about next. Holly Holm, Jermaine Durandamy. They fought at 145 for that title. Different kind of fight, different kind of Holly Holm. That fight got a lot of backlash because Jermaine Durandamy kept hitting Holly Holm after the bell about 2 or 3 times, and they felt like Jermaine Durandamy was cheating. Jermaine Durandamy has never been that kind of a fighter. She's a very honest, nice, like I've never seen somebody so nice speak and positive. If you ever watch one of Jermaine Durandamy's interviews, you can tell she would never do something like that. She's a former kickboxing champion, Muay Thai champion. Like there's no reason for her to, and in Muay Thai sometimes they strike after the belt because you're just throwing a combination. She throws a lot of combinations. I don't think she did it on purpose. They fought for the 145-pound title. I think that they should fight for the number 1 contender and see who fights Amanda Nunes or for a vacant championship at that time, because I don't think Amanda Nunes is going to want to fight one of them again because it proves nothing. But let's get into Jermaine Durandamy's performance against Juliana Pena. Juliana Pena, a very, very tough opponent. She is very good on the ground. She takes you down. She grounds and pounds you. She was doing that to Jermaine Durandamy from the second half of the first round to about the second round and the beginning of the third. And then Jermaine Durandamy pulled a guillotine out, which we'd never seen or never thought we would see her submit somebody in that octagon. She is a striker. That's what she's known for. She got dominated by Amanda Nunes in the title fight on the ground. If not, she was dominating her standing. But she pulled that out. She put Juliana Pena to sleep, a very tough fighter in Juliana Pena, who's never been finished, by the way. Jermaine Durandamy, you are the number 1 in the 135 division for a reason, and there's no questions asked.
Yeah, I mean, and that's not. Thank goodness she did that, because that was a really tight fight. As a matter of fact, I kind of don't like where Juliana Pena is now in the rankings. She fell 2 spots, and then not only that, but Aldana, she actually went up a spot, which I don't think that makes any sense, because yes, even though she was submitted, she fought a lot better. And like I said, perhaps even if it went to decision, then Pena would have gotten the decision against Randami. But
rankings, in the word of Chael Sonnen, rankings.
Yeah, rankings. But that was an amazing interview, by the way. That was really cool. But anyways, yeah, like I think that's the fight that you got to have next as far as Randomly and Holm, like, and then like you said, the winner of that, does Amanda Nunes really want to get into that? So there could be a vacancy, and who knows if Amanda Nunes, obviously she can keep on fighting, but she just had, that she just had her child, and is there really a reason to come back? Like, okay, maybe you want to come back to one division and you want to keep going there, but there's really nothing more for her to prove in this game. So I think it's more. I think that's an actual huge possibility. What you mentioned about there being a vacancy up in the top, and then randomly, she fought well this week, and Holly Holm, obviously, as we discussed, fought really well too. So that's gonna be that. I think would be a championship caliber fight to have. So it would be great to have a vacancy in that spot.
Absolutely. And speaking of former champions, Carlos Condit had a vintage performance this past Saturday. We were talking about it last week. We weren't sure what kind of natural born killer we were going to see, but he got the perfect matchup. He got the perfect matchup in, oh my God, how am I forgetting his name?
McGee.
Remind me. McGee, Court McGee, my God. Court McGee, a former Ultimate Fighter champion who is kind of a guy who stands up with you. He doesn't really take you down, and he's almost like a standing target, And that's what Carlos Condit was doing to him. He caught him at the end of the first round too, thought he was going to knock him out there. And Carlos Condit just looked so comfortable, and he knew he wasn't going to be taken down like he was by Michael Chiesa and Damian Maia. He was very comfortable on his feet, and I felt like it was the perfect matchup and the perfect confidence booster to get him maybe back in a top 15 kind of a matchup. I wish that they didn't book. Well, I love the Mike Perry, Robbie Lawler matchup, but I wish we could see maybe a Carlos Condit versus Mike Perry or anybody standing. At this point in Carlos Condit's career, I don't want to see him against any wrestler or anybody who is really good in jiu-jitsu. Give him somebody he can stand up with, create a good war, good matchup, maybe be in that prelims, main card kind of thing, and see where he goes from there. If he can get past those guys, okay, start giving him guys in the top 15. But you got to get him warmed up. The man hasn't won since 2015. So This was a good confidence booster for Carlos Condit.
Definitely. And another thing too, like he hasn't won since 2015, but you got to look at the names that this guy has fought against. He's fought against GSP, he's fought against Woodley, and we're talking about prime Woodley too. We're not talking about the Woodley we've seen in recent fights. He's fought against Nate Diaz, all these incredible fighters. So I feel that, a lot of people, they look at the record and they think automatically, like, how good can this guy really be with that many losses? And I'm like, well, when you see the guys that he's lost to, you understand why he has so many. So I'm glad that he was able to get this fight. I'm glad he was able to get the win. And it wasn't, and I'm happy that this decision, it wasn't a tight decision. It was a unanimous decision because he really did. Maybe in the initial minutes of the fight, it was sort of back and forth, but after that, Carlos, he just went ahead and he definitely controlled that fight. And against a guy like McGee, like you said, who's also just as experienced and a really skilled fighter. So yeah, let's see what happens next. I think they continue warming him up, like you mentioned, but I'm just glad to see that he's back. I think maybe he's not back to his prime, but he's back confidence-wise.
You said something very interesting there in Tyron Woodley, because they did fight a couple years ago, and that's how Tyron Woodley ended up getting a title shot. The way that he beat Carlos Condit actually ended up tearing his ACL in that fight. And why not have those guys fight at this point in their careers? Tyron Woodley is on kind of a downslope a little bit. Carlos Condit was on a little bit of a downslope before that. This could be a confidence booster for any one of them. Carlos Condit beats Tyron Woodley, he's back in the top 10. Tyron Woodley can't beat Carlos Condit. You kind of know what to do there, brother. Like, and I'm not going to say it out loud. But from there, if you can't beat a Carlos Condit, then what are you doing? So I think that would be a very interesting matchup. I like that you said that. I did not think about that, but that would be perfect. Carlos Condit and Tyron Woodley. I like that a lot. I'm going to text Dana White, even though I don't have his number, and let him know that should definitely happen next. Because it
would be good awesome. Because it'd be a redemption fight, like you said. He tore his ACL in that fight with that kick.
With that kick, yeah.
I think he tore before the kick, but obviously the kick was a cherry on top of the sundae.
When Tyron Woodley took him down, that's correct, yeah.
Right, exactly. I think the kick obviously was the one that really finished it off. So, to have that what if answered, obviously like so many years later on, but like to be able to have the opportunity to sort of redeem yourself for that fight, because he wasn't necessarily losing that fight either. So it'd be a nice redemption. And like you said, where these guys are in their careers right now, like kind of, it's sort of like a limbo. Like, are you still great or you're not? I think they're exactly on the same on the same path. And
Yeah.
like you said, if Woodley beats him, then great. Maybe he's not washed like as people think. And if he doesn't beat him, it's like, dude, you know what to do. And then Condit, I mean, I think that would really excel his confidence to fight some of the guys towards the top 10 rather than the top 15.
Absolutely. So this weekend we got a really good headliner in two top bantamweights in 135 men's division, and Corey Sandhagen. I always want to say Cody for some reason, taking on Marlon Moraes, who's the number one ranked 135 bantamweight men's fighter. Even though people think it's Aljamain Sterling, even though he's fighting Peter Yan, Marlon Moraes is actually the number one ranked because he's knocked out Aljamain Sterling. So even though Corey lost his last fight to Aljamain, he has a chance here to become number one in the 135-pound division and maybe even get a title shot because they still haven't booked Aljamain against Yan. But we got a really good fight here in styles matchup for sure. Corey's really good on a ground and standing, and so is Marlon. We haven't seen Marlon in a year. We haven't seen him since he fought Jose Aldo. Every single time Marlon Moraes comes back, something has changed in his game, and he is better. So how do you think this fight's going to go down, Nick?
Well, I think Corey's definitely not going to pass up on the opportunity that he lost last time against Aljamain. So I think he's definitely going to go for the win because, like you said, if he wins, then he could probably perhaps jump up to that number one contender spot, or perhaps maybe he gets bumped by Aljamain given that he beat him and he moves to that number two spot. But like you said, I mean, it's not written in stone, Peter Yan against Sterling. So any way that he can find to climb up and perhaps get in that fight somehow, I think that he's going to definitely go for the win here. And then even though Marlon Moraes, he's the number one contender, he hasn't fought for a long time. Corey, I almost said Cody as well. Corey, I think he, like I said, like he definitely, I think that last loss is still stinging. And I think he's definitely going to want to get a win as soon as possible. And this is his opportunity to do so. And who better than, like you said, the number one contender in Marlon Moraes.
Agreed. And I think that this is going to be a better fight for Corey because he's going to have a bigger cage. He said that in his interview, his media day interview, that kind of gave him a struggle against Aljamain because he couldn't really move around. So now he's going to have a bigger cage, and he's got 5 rounds to fight Marlon Moraes. If we notice in Marlon Moraes' career, in longer fights, that's when he struggles and has a really big problem with people. If he doesn't finish him early, it's hard for him to finish him late. Henry Cejudo proved that. I think that Corey will take the same exact approach, stand up with Marlon for as long as possible because Marlon's not a guy who, I'm going to take you down. No, stand up with him for a little bit, get him tired, and then move forward and push forward. Kind of the same way he fought Yuri Alcantara when he won his first fight in the UFC. I think that'd be a perfect kind of game plan. And I think we see Corey win this fight. 4th round submission, rear naked choke. What's your prediction? Or you want to wait? You want to wait till Friday after?
I think I'm going to wait. Yeah,
you're going to wait.
I think I'm going to wait because another thing too here is that Corey has a big, and I think maybe that's why the ring size was important to him because Corey has a big height advantage here.
Yeah, big guy.
Sort of like exactly. You have 5'6" versus 5'11". Although that didn't help him last time against Aljamain, but Aljamain is Aljamain, So I think having the extra space, given his height, he might have the advantage. But like I said, and this isn't the only fight where we've seen the taller fighter lose the match. So I think I don't have a prediction just yet. But it's definitely going to be a great one. I know that, like I said, I know he's itching, but so is Marlon. Marlon hasn't been here for a year, and I know that he's not going to want to really botch this opportunity either. So I think my prediction will probably come sometime Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon. So
we see that Sterling and Yan still hasn't been made official, which is very weird. There's 2 cards in November and December that have no main events. We'll talk about what a main event might be because we heard about something before we came on. But
for once,
why not for once, right? But why not book Peter Yan and Aljamain Sterling December 12th or November 21st? They're both ready. Both of them are healthy. None of them are injured. Put that fight on. I don't know what the UFC is thinking or like why are they holding back to make this fight? Dana White said yes 2 months ago. We made it official here. We're just like, he's getting that title shot. Now they ask him again. We're not sure yet. We're not sure what we're going to do. What are you waiting for? I guess they're waiting for the winner of this fight, but we haven't seen Peter. Well, I get it because we haven't seen Peter Yan fight any one of those guys, but Aljamain Sterling has earned that title shot. He literally beat Corey Sandhagen already. I know he lost to Marlon Moraes, but I don't really want to see Marlon Moraes in a title shot right now. He lost his title shot to Henry Cejudo. Didn't look great, and I think a guy like Peter Yan wouldn't make him look good either. Why are they not putting this fight together yet, Nick?
I have no idea, especially with the vacancies that have come up. And UFC is a fast-moving league. I mean, we've seen how these guys put fights together in a moment's notice. So why Yan and Sterling having had so much time from both those guys' last fights, and the fact that neither of those guys really got beat up in their last fights, that they pretty much could have fought the next weekend, like Hamzat.
Anybody, brother.
Yeah, exactly. I can't comprehend why this fight hasn't actually had pen put to paper. I mean, maybe it's another money ordeal like we saw with Dustin Poirier and Ferguson and all these other guys. But it needs to happen. And like you said, the fact that we have now 2 vacancies coming up, and you know what, we might think, well, that's not until November, that's not until December. If this year has taught us anything, it's that time is moving. It felt slow at the beginning, but it's just around the corner, November and December. So I think that they need to definitely put pen to paper and get these fights sealed in.
Yeah, book that fight. But we had another fight get canceled. UFC 256 has no headliner. Burns and Usman is officially canceled. Apparently, Usman needs more time. What does he need more time for? Apparently, injuries that he's not speaking about or hasn't said anything about, which is kind of weird to me because you think you'd tell the people exactly what's going on with you, especially when they confirm that fight. Well, did they confirm it? Did they officially? They never officially confirmed it, which I'm starting to notice now. I feel like it was by ESPN, but it was confirmed by Dana White, but it wasn't confirmed by the UFC. And now I'm noticing this trend to where they're announcing fights officially a week or 2 before. Like even the Ortega and Zombie was confirmed last week. We heard about that fight 2 months ago or 3 months ago, and they just confirmed it. And I guess they're kind of doing it on purpose because just in case these kind of things happen, because the promotional part of it. So I understand that, but Dana White kind of confirmed it. ESPN confirmed it. Ariel Helwani confirmed it that fight was supposed to happen December 12th, and now it's not happening anymore. I know you had a lot to say about Usman. Let it out. Let it go.
Snoozman.
Marty Snoozman.
Marty Snoozman. I mean, who knows? Maybe he feels that he needs to take some more tap dancing classes so that way he can keep toe stomping his opponents. But I mean, in the same time, like not to discredit obviously the defending champion. He's an incredible fighter. But, I wouldn't necessarily blame him because I think Gilbert Burns can beat him. And that's not just beating Usman. I think Gilbert Burns can beat anybody in that weight division. Really, if I was in that weight division, the person that would intimidate me the most is Burns because this guy is a very dynamic fighter. He's young. He can really make a fight last or he can finish it quick. So I guess maybe he just doesn't feel prepared yet, or maybe who knows? These injuries come about sometimes, everyday life, and maybe it's just something that he doesn't want to disclose. But yeah, I'm kind of bummed that this isn't going to happen because we were supposed to have it happen back in when was Masvidal Usman again? That was a couple months ago.
A couple months ago. That was in July. No, was it July? I feel like it was
something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
It was supposed to be Burns and Usman then, and now we had that anticipation building up, and of course we're being let down again. Now the question is, do you replace Usman and just put somebody else in there with Burns, or do you just replace that whole card together? And then let's say we get somebody like a Colby and a Masvidal, or Leon Edwards if we could find him.
Yeah, if we can find him, and we'll get into that. But why not have Colby Covington fight Burns? Why not? Colby Covington is fresh. He says he wants to fight. You just beat Tyron Woodley. You're still you're number 1 now in the division. You want to solidify that? Fight Gilbert Burns. If you're ready for it, fight Gilbert Burns. I feel like he's a little bit afraid to fight Gilbert Burns because it's not a good styles matchup for him. Colby Covington is the guy who likes to take you down to the ground and pound you. Gilbert Burns is a high-level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. That's not somebody you want to take down. And as you can see, his striking has improved too. So that's not somebody you want to stand up with. I think that Colby Covington is kind of picking his opponents. Why not jump into that slot and fight for an interim title? Then you get to fight Usman, the matchup and the rematch that you wanted so damn bad, and get that next year when Usman comes back. I know they want to do this Colby versus Masvidal thing, but my sources told me that the UFC was trying to make that a co-main event. They can't come into kind of an agreement for that. So that's not going to happen. Colby knows it's not going to happen. Colby's representing himself right now, which is absolutely absurd why you don't have a management team, Colby Covington. Got to get on that. But I say Colby Covington jumped into that spot. He fight Gilbert Burns. People do watch Colby Covington fight as much as he does his wildness. People still watch him on a pay-per-view. Maybe the UFC might get a little nervous with that because he's maybe he won't sell as much of a Masvidal, but you can't put Masvidal in that spot because he's not that contender. He's not the higher contender, even though he's still in the top 3. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking about it now. You can, and Masvidal will jump into a spot like that. He's not afraid. He did that with Usman a couple months ago. But I don't know. Colby Covington, jump into that spot. Leon Edwards, I don't know, Leon. I don't know. Where are you, Leon?
He's
Edwards?
sitting on a beach somewhere with Carmen Sandiego. But,
and Waldo, too, his best friend.
And Waldo, yeah, exactly. He's somewhere missing. But even before Leon, I think, like I said, I don't see anybody beating Burns. But if there is somebody that can beat Burns, I don't think it's Usman. I actually think it's Colby Covington. I think Colby Covington is a better fighter. I think that, and he showed that in his last fight against Woodley. I mean, I know that Woodley's not what he used to be, but I would like to see Woodley take that spot. I mean, not Woodley. I would like to see Colby take that spot because I think he can actually beat Burns. Maybe Burns is, I mean, like I said, he's a scary dude, and maybe that's not a good matchup for him. But if you're as confident as you should be, because he's a phenomenal fighter, disregard whatever antics, whatever disagreements you have with Colby Covington, he is an incredibly entertaining fighter and an incredibly skilled fighter. So I think that, yeah, he should fill in that spot. I know that Masvidal Covington would definitely bring more viewers. But if they can't make that work, if I'm Colby and I'm representing myself, I'm going to get in there with Burns. Because like you said, if you really have that faith that you can beat Burns, you're going to get that chance of redemption against what does he call me? Marty Fake Newsman.
The perfect path, right? The perfect path.
Yeah, exactly. It's a perfect path, and then you get to go for that real belt, not the interim belt, but the real belt. And I honestly think that if he does fight Usman, as much as Usman says, I'm going to break your face, I think that Colby actually does win that fight between him and Usman. Does he beat Gilbert Burns? I don't know, and maybe that's his hesitation. But I think that Colby definitely is a skilled fighter that he can perhaps beat Burns, but I think he would definitely beat Usman. Now, as far as Leon Edwards,
even though I don't want to talk about him again, but we got to bring it back because this is getting ridiculous. There's too many open opportunities for Leon Edwards, and he's taking none of them. Zero of these fights. What is going on with Leon Edwards?
I have no idea, man. Like I told you, he's hanging out with Carmen Sandiego and Waldo somewhere.
It's wild to see. They've offered him to fight against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson for a main event. He said no. They offered him Kazmat. He said no. There's an open vacancy for this title fight. He has said no. He'll just keep tweeting stuff, but he's doing nothing about it. He's not pushing forward with that. Dana White doesn't need. He's like, oh, we have something for Leon. No, you don't. You got nothing for. I guess you have nothing for him, or maybe you're sending him stuff and he keeps declining it. At this point, Leon Edwards, you know what? Give him Carlos Condit. Since you you just don't want to fight anybody. Yeah. Give him Carlos Condit. See if I hope Carlos Condit beats him and puts him in the top and puts Carlos Condit back in the top 5 because I'm just tired of Leon Edwards tweeting, posting things on Instagram. I'm lonely over here. Nobody wants to fight me. Abu Dhabi, you can go to Abu Dhabi on Fight Island. You can go there. Yeah, you can come here to the United States. I don't know if Leon Edwards has a bad patch or maybe a bad rap that he can't make it here or make it there. Something is off and something is weird, and I'm starting to assume it now. For this guy to have no fight this whole entire year, he was supposed to fight in March. We are in October, and he hasn't fought once, and there's been so many opportunities. He even declined the fight against Kamaru Usman in Fight Island that Jorge Masvidal ended up taking. Leon Edwards, we're going to keep questioning you. We might come on here every week and do the same exact thing and do Leon. Where are you, Leon? Where are you? You got to pick up a fight. But anyway, speaking of fighters disappearing, but exactly this fighters actually accepting fights. Hopefully, before we came on, we got some breaking news. Conor McGregor tweeted Dustin Poirier because apparently this is how you accept fights in this day and age, and said, "Hey, Dustin, I accepted their fight against you in the UFC. Either we can do it November 21st or December 12th. I do not want to do this in 2021. I want to fight this year." That is big coming from McGregor. For him to want to fight with no crowd,
with no
and just
crowd.
actually
Yeah.
fight, which I'm not surprised because Conor McGregor's never turned down any fight. He may have picked opponents, or maybe the UFC picked opponents for him, but he's never turned down a fight. This is a good move for McGregor, huge, but a bad move for the UFC if that happens because they will lose so much money. It's like watching Mayweather fight with no crowd. You're losing a lot of money. Conor McGregor is going to get the money no matter what because he has a very high contract. Poirier will get money because you're fighting Conor McGregor now. A lot of people are going to watch, so pay-per-view points. You're going to be fine there. But the UFC will lose money not having Conor McGregor fight in front of a crowd. You think McGregor's actually fighting, or he's just doing this for show to stay relevant within mixed martial arts right now?
I know that he's a showman, and I'm sure that he would obviously prefer to fight in the crowd, but I think he's actually being legitimate with his intentions here. I think that he does want to fight this year, and especially when you fight against somebody respectable like Dustin Poirier, right? An opponent that has an opportunity to beat you. Obviously, nobody felt that way about Cowboy Cerrone. I mean, we all know that Cowboy is a fantastic fighter, but at this point of his career, nobody really was expecting him to beat Conor. So to actually put yourself out there and risk taking a loss against somebody like Dustin Poirier, I think that I think he's actually being sincere with his intentions. And yeah, of course, there's not going to be a crowd, and you're going to lose money. But you know what? 50% of something is better than 100% of nothing. You're gonna have a lot of people tuning in and paying pay-per-view for that fight simply because McGregor's on there. And not only that, but on top of having casual fans because they know the name, you're gonna have actual fans, informed fans tuning in for that too because they know that would be an incredible fight. So for UFC, for perhaps to pass on this, I think it would be silly of them because you're building something up, right? Let's say McGregor loses. People are still going to tune in even if he fights next year sometime with a crowd. But if he wins, then all of a sudden you're going to have this anticipation that, let's say that you can't get GSP, even though he's leaning towards coming back to fight Khabib Nurmagomedov. Let's say that McGregor wins, and then let's see what happens with Khabib and Justin Gaethje. Whoever wins of those fights, I'm sure people would love to see Conor McGregor fight either Justin Gaethje or a rematch with Khabib. And by that time, you probably will have people in your crowd. So why not build that anticipation or take the risk on doing so? And like I said, I know you're not going to make as much money without a crowd there, but you're still going to make something.
Yeah, they definitely will. But it's just a bad move on the UFC if they do that with no crowd. And another thing too, they're not going to want to promote a Conor McGregor fight within a month. So November 21st, whatever that date he was picking up, that's not going to happen. December 12th, that is possible. You get 2 months to promote a Conor McGregor fight. Commercials.
And now you need that title fight. I mean, not a title fight, but you need that main event.
Exactly, and that's going to be a 5-rounder. And who's not going to want to watch that in a empty? You're going to hear Conor McGregor talk, and Poirier is going to talk right back at him in that cage with nobody there. Or you know what? I feel like they would figure something out to get some kind of fans in there because in France you can have fans now.
Yeah, Bellator's been having fans in there.
Bellator's had a
fighting's been having fans. So I think it all depends. You just got to pick a location where you can have. Obviously, you can take the precautions to avoid.
That'll probably be the difficult part because they have their own
that'd
bubble.
Be the difficult part. But you know what? Like, look how many hoops they've jumped through just doing Fight Island. Just having these UFC Vegas fights. Like anything is. UFC has proved in this pandemic that where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
And if you really want to have fans, granted, you're not going to have a sold out stadium, but there's places where you can go to where they're going to allow a higher capacity, right? Whether it's foolish or not, to have fans there, and it doesn't necessarily have to be on Fight Island. It doesn't have to be in Vegas. It can be anywhere in the world. We've had fights in South America. We've had fights in Asia. We've had fights in Australia and Europe. So why not figure out a place to do that?
Yeah, and the UFC has plenty of money to do any of that. They can make it happen. It's a McGregor fight.
More importantly, plenty of money and plenty of connections.
Plenty of connections. They have 100%. And everybody knows that. So hopefully they figure that out. We get an answer by probably after we get off of air for sure. That's going to happen. And then we'll listen. If that happens, we're jumping on Instagram Live and we're talking about that. I don't care. I'm not doing this anymore.
I'll be happy as a pig in shit if that happens.
So 100%. He tweeted today. Hopefully Dana White gives a response. Dana's in Abu Dhabi right now. He usually does a media after weigh-ins of fights or on the Thursday. So we'll probably get some kind of media to see what happens. If that happens, guys, everybody that's watching or is watching this after, we will be on Instagram Live to talk about it. We're not going to hold off on that because that's going to be huge news for sure. But
I'm actually refreshing my feed right now to make sure that nothing
happened, right? Here. You never know. But Nick, I'm actually digging into my bank account and I'm looking to see if I have enough money to be in Mike Perry's corner for his fight. I got to see if I can do it because I would love to be there. Mike Perry has put out a message to everyone, besides his girlfriend, LaTorri, who's going to be in his corner, pregnant, by the way. He said the highest bidder, whoever can give him the most money, can corner him in a fight when he fights Robbie Lawler October 31st in, I don't think it's a fight out, I think it's in Vegas. But to corner him, do you think this is actually going to go through, or he's just going to have LaTorri in his corner? And by the way, Darren Till has offered $50,000 to Mike Perry to be in his corner. And if you know the history between Mike Perry and Darren Till has said a lot of things about Mike Perry's past girlfriends. Mike Perry has said a lot of things about Darren Till. They keep going back and forth. I don't know if it's a friendship and they're just kidding with each other or it's serious. Lord knows. But who's going to be in Mike Perry's corner when that fight comes up in October?
Well, with that kind of bid, Darren Till's going to be in that with that kind of bid. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know if this is a charade or if this is. I mean, I don't think Perry needs any distractions, especially coming back from what he just recovered from. If I hope that he's recovered from it. Yeah. So this is going to be interesting. I mean, if he does, like that'd be kind of cool. But at the same time, I mean, if Darren Till's dropping $50,000, who's gonna really match that? You know, and I don't feel that Platinum Mike Perry is going to be one of these guys who really brings in somebody like we've seen before, like McGregor's had Drake in his not in his corner, but during weigh-ins, or we've had Jimmy Kimmel with Pacquiao, kind of thing like that. He's not really that big of a name to get, let's say, if he's looking for celebrity, some sort of endorsement or something like that to be in his corner. I don't think that's going to happen. From a fan experience, I think that'd be really cool to have somebody who's a fan of the game to be in your corner. I don't think it's cool necessarily that you're charging them to be there. But I mean, are they going to also win part of the purse if he does win? If you're in his corner, I mean, that's another thing too, because it's just dude, are you covering my flight? Are you covering all my other expenses? That's
a weird point. I don't understand how that's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly, because I'm paying to be here, and if you win, I want some of that too, because obviously whatever I said was enough to motivate you. If your girlfriend can motivate you, wait until you see what I said. I'll be a real Tony Robbins in your corner. But I guess whoever does participate in this bidding, please read the fine print. That's all I can say. Agreed.
And I hope that maybe somehow, some way I can say something to him that'll just Darnell, come to my corner for free. You don't even have to pay me. I'll pay you. You can be in there. Me and LaTorri. My vote is for Kendra Lust, because I saw Kendra Lust say something on Twitter. Have her there. You got two of the baddest women, because LaTorri is one of the baddest women because she led him to a victory, in your corner, motivating you. You're going to have LaTorri and Kendra Lust in your corner to look at. I'd be motivated too. So that's not a bad idea. I'm voting for Kendra Lust. That's my vote. I don't know what your vote is, Nick, if you want to drop one.
I mean, Lust, who better than Lust? Right? It could go either way. It could be a distraction, or it could be a motivation. So I mean, it's all up to him.
That's right. So guys, thank you so much for coming by today. We appreciate it. Of course, hit that subscribe button. We're here every Thursday. Sometimes it could change. You never know. We're always going to announce that the other way. There we go. Right here.
I'm never going to get that right.
I just want to send a special shout out to Chael Sonnen for coming on the show this week. We appreciate you. We'll probably have him on one of these shows coming up in the future for sure. Thank you, Burt Watson, for making that connection. Of course, Burt Watson has a YouTube channel that's coming out. I'm going to be posting a link for that. Shouts to Burt. Want to give a special happy birthday to my boy Ariel Pierre Lewis. Happy birthday, happy 31st. Nick, if you want to say anything, let it go.
Well, two things. Go Heat. This series is not mathematically over, so I'm going to keep cheering for them. Everybody tune in tomorrow night, and also everybody too. Right, I'm telling you, man, this flip camera is doesn't do us any favors. Another thing too, everybody go vote. I hope everybody registered. Absolutely. If you don't vote, don't complain. That's the only statement I'm going to make, because I hear a lot of complaining, But then when it comes time to do something about it, you guys just sit back, and guess what? You can mail it in too. And whatever's easier for you. You want to show up? Great. Take your precaution, wear your mask. If you want to just mail it in, go ahead and mail it. But don't complain when you don't vote.
Agreed. I hear a lot of that. I don't like either candidate talk, blah, 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 all that stuff. Hey, listen, we got two people. You got to pick. You pick nobody, you're doing nothing, and you're not helping any cause because you might have something that one candidate likes and the other doesn't like. Figure it out. Please vote. This is a very important election. There's a lot going on in this world, and we only can move forward in some sense of direction, no matter who it is. So vote. Please go out there. Do that, guys. I will be on actually in an hour and a half with Jessica, Evil Eye. Please tune in if you can.
For that.
Absolutely. It'll be here. It'll be on there. You know, I'm going to post it everywhere. It's going to be a really good interview. We're going to talk about her recent issue she's had with her stomach. We haven't seen her in a while, so we're going to talk about that, her career, a lot of other things. It's going to be good. We appreciate you guys. Me and Nick, we're out. Mystic Hour live. Boom.
Later.